decided let's go quarterly and talk about the subjects that are on the members' minds. There we have no, I mean, obviously we do have an agenda, because that's right there, but just what's hot now, obviously we have what to talk about and some other stuff, but there's no urgency, it's just talking. I know most of you, and you know that a lot of times I'm self-conscious and I'm always talking about GCC, talking it up, and what do you think about this, and what do you think about that? Getting some level of feedback that I often think, they must be saying, doesn't he talk about anything else? So we thought, let's do it again tonight. It's supposed to be 81, whatever numbers in this room. Friends talking about something we're all passionate about. And the fact that you came out tonight speaks to your passion, and I am impressed. Thank you. So, here's our agenda. And I think we want to talk. I'll hand the microphone over to Lily Harper, and she'll start with the first subject.
Welcome, everybody. Oh my gosh, thank you. What, you can say it back. So you may know, we had a flood. We missed the part where I go. I actually did. You do hear that a little bit later on. So the flood occurred when a sprinkler pipe burst in the Clark room, which is right over there. The sprinkler pipe is very close to the ceiling, and it was during the week that it froze and then it thawed. So once it thawed, that's when the joint burst. The water ran for around 5 minutes. Unfortunately, lucky for us, it was in midday, so you hear the alarms going, and after a couple of minutes, we were able to figure out what the heck was going on. We got all the way to the opposite end of the clubhouse in the basement, which is a wonderful place for the water shut-off to be for that moment. And we were able to turn the water off, but at that point, the damage was done. So we lost a good deal of water. We had the sprinkler repaired immediately so that we could still function. But we lost some good property. On the second floor, the Clark room, you can see this is the current condition of the Clark room. The ceiling grid will need to be replaced. The window panes have a little bit of damage just from the water and humidity. There are 2 hutches in there that are very old and had china in them. We're having those assessed right now by an auction company. The drywall, plaster, the subflooring and things like that. But for all intents and purposes, this part of the damage is the first part that we can actually repair. And we want to repair this part first because it's a revenue center for us. We have been able to move, as you know, our food operations up to the banquet kitchen. While it is not up to full speed, and it's not optimal right now for us to operate banquet service and a la carte service, we're doing what we can. If you were here last night, you saw, that was our beta test. We had an event for 50 people, and we had taco night, and we were hustling. But we made it work, and every day we're making progress. We got a fryer working today, so success. We got a grill working, so that's success. We had more plumbing run, which is great. So, we're making small strides every day so that we can do more and more. But for right now, this is the room that we are going to focus on. So I'm working with Kate McNamara and some great folks from the board. She's helping to guide and mentor through this process of rehabilitation. We are working on getting some architects to make sure we're doing all the right things and some good GCs in to help us get this moving pretty quickly. So our goal for the Clark room, our goal is to have it open by late March, early April, so that we can have it prepared for Passover and Easter and kind of get that functional. Barring any major issues, that's what we hope to do. And I'm so sorry we lose that wallpaper. Oh, I'm so sad. The first floor. So the first floor was probably the strangest of them all. About 5 seconds after I walked out of my office when Carrie said, "There's a waterfall coming out of the ceiling upstairs." I ran to the bottom of those stairs and then my ceiling just fell in. And then all of the ceilings kind of crumbled in and just started pouring. So both of the executive offices on the back side, the north side of the clubhouse, were hard affected. That would have been my office, Carrie and Lexi's office, as well as our copy room, where our copy machine is, our postage machine, as well our server and Wi-Fi and all of our IT area was hit. That is probably most detrimental to us right now. We're still seeing some effects. Poor Joe, our controller, handles our IT stuff, and we are still having problems with our firewall, our phones. If you tried to call today, you may not have gotten through because we're having issues still with our IT stuff. So we had to relocate all of our server, all of our hard drives and everything. We didn't have access to our POS, which is where all of your accounts are located, which is why you probably got your statement maybe a couple days late, because we didn't have access to anything for several days. So we got that back up and going. Our security and alarm system were affected. We are now back in a contract. That's pretty much the only contract that we have right now, is getting our cameras and TVs and alarms back up and going. So that will happen soon. But we have a lot of recovery to do on that first floor. If you have walked back there, which I'm sure many of you have, you will see that the walls are down to the studs, and we're just trying to figure out what the next steps are, which is really hard because insurance. So this is a large insurance claim. I don't have a number. I wish that I did. It would make life a lot easier. We have hired an adjustment firm who helped us with the wall, my first crisis. And they're going to do a great job to help us, but there are a lot of components in this. For instance, we still have knob and tube electrical running through the walls downstairs in the first floor and in the second floor. Yes, and up there as well. You're exactly right. So with that, we are going to have to consider electrical rerun and permitting and all that comes along with that. So this could be a tedious process. We will likely have to reduce the offices on the other side as a result of the electrical. And then the basement, which is the kitchen. Sorry, I don't have fabulous pictures. Essentially, all of the water poured. It rained in the kitchen. We had an assessor come in from Infinite Mechanical and assess the equipment, and we are still waiting on the formal evaluation. But essentially, they've said that most all of the equipment in the kitchen has been corrupted. So we are, at this time, really not able to use any of that. That was because most of the equipment that we have has filters or fans at the top of the units, so that you don't have to do back cleaning. It's better for them to have filters up top. We had new pieces of equipment, and because of the flood, it ruined the warranty on some of those. So these are some of the things that we're working with the insurance company on right now to repair and replace and get some final numbers on that. The HVAC system in the kitchen was hit pretty hard, as well as electrical, because a lot of our electrical in the kitchen is on the ceiling, which is where the water came through. So a lot still to do down there. I know it seems like a very small space, but it's a very complicated and tedious process that we're working through. So we're committed to just making sure that we're doing the right thing for the club, doing it right the first time and not skimping through. We have a lot of irons in the fire right now, as I said, with insurance, with estimators, with adjusters, with contractors, architects, the whole gamut, and we have a great crew of board members that are helping ensure that we're making good decisions on this. As things progress, I will certainly keep you updated. The show will go on, and that's the great thing about this, is the kitchen will be moving along, and once it gets warm outside, we'll do some cookouts for you, so so you'll be able to enjoy al fresco dining. We're gonna try and get the pool snack bar open a little bit earlier so you can sit outside up here and dine. So we have some interesting options that we're gonna try to work with so that your time here is not interrupted and unfazed. Any questions about any of the flood stuff? Yes, Ms. Lefko.
Do we have a deductible on that?
We do. It was just $5,000 on the deductible.
It's pretty good.
We're gonna hit that. Probably. And if you think of any questions, we'll have a Q&A at the end as well. All right. I don't know if you all have had a chance to meet Alyssa Prinsky. She's also my twin. So if you have any complaints, I'll let you know where her office is. But Alyssa is our new membership and marketing director. Well, she's not so new. She's been here for almost a year, and she's wonderful. Alyssa has been working really hard to help continue the growth of our membership, to encourage our policies and procedures and standards. And so Alyssa's going to go over our current rates and some offerings that we have, and then we're all going to talk about policies, and because I know there are some burning questions about some changes that we have and kind of tightening up some structure within the club. So I'll hand it over to Alyssa. Me Millie on my tours. She's not doing everything. She is doing everything, but the tours, I promise, is me sometimes. So tonight we're just going to go over some common questions that I see in membership after we go over where we currently are. So we get a lot of questions about current membership. We are currently at 779 active memberships, and that equates to 558 full members. So when it comes to terms of full member equivalency, that is how many family athletic monthly rates we can go on. So the family athletic is the highest rate that we have here, and we divide that from the total monthly dues revenue. So right now, that's where we're getting the 558 from. Obviously, we know that resignation is coming. Everyone can do their downgrades and resignations one time a year, and that is to let us know by March 1st, and then it would be effective April 1st. So everyone has been able to message me during the year, and we have kind of been keeping track of that. So right in front of us is a chart of what our projections are off of that as of today. So right now we're looking at about a 30 full member loss. That's based off of everyone that is already let us know, and then what we're kind of projecting to see in the next month or so. Initiation fees are huge for membership right now. I know a lot of people do let their referrals know. I will say that our initiation fees have changed drastically. People will come in and be like, oh, I thought it was like $3,000. As you see here, it's changed just a little bit. So right now, our full family athletic initiation fee is $8,000. Individual or family over 40 is $5,500, and individual under 40 is $4,000. This year, we're going to be doing a $2,000 increase across the board. So if you guys do have referrals coming, let them know that before April 1st is the time to do it. But also, this is for your knowledge that anyone coming in after April 1st is going to be having these kind of fees. So this year we are presenting our new sponsorship incentives. Every prospective member that comes in requires a proposing member and seconding. So we are offering our active members, if you bring someone in and they successfully go through, sorry, Millie really wanted confetti on the slide, everyone, so that is for her. So anyone that has a successful application that comes through, you'll be getting a $50 voucher for the 1854 restaurant. If they sign up prior to April 1st, we're going to double that, so it's a $100 gift card for your membership. It's not limited. As many referrals as you have come in, it's going to be to each application that comes through successfully. In addition, we're also going to enter you in a drawing that is semi-annually that is going to waive 1 month of member dues. Ooh. In addition, to all of your friends, we are looking for your family. We're looking for your kids that came here when they were little and your grandkids that follow after them. It's available to active member grandparents, parents, children, and grandchildren. They get a discounted initiation fee of 50% off. So right now, if they were to come in, it would be $4,000 for a family, $2,750 for a family under 40 or an individual, and $2,000 for an individual athletic. They also get their food and beverage minimum and their non-alcoholic beverage fee waived for the first year. So that is a great discount for your family coming through. I'm going to hand it back to Millie as I can go over, okay, it's downgrade. So we also, as I mentioned earlier, it is downgrade and resignation. So right now, an option if you are considering leaving the club, but you still love it here, which we love you and we would never want you to leave. A better option, if it is financially for you, is after 2 years of a full-time athletic membership, you have the option to downgrade to an individual or family pool membership, or also a Mannheim membership, which is essentially dining and fitness. We still want you to come to our events. The only thing that is limiting is the athletics behind it. So you will accrue a guest fee or a reservation fee if you were to go into tennis or anything like that. Our goal is to ensure that you remain a valued part of our club in capacity that suits your lifestyle. And please know that if you were to upgrade in the future, that is going to be subject to a 20% initiation fee at the time of upgrade. Gonna hand it back to Millie. Many of you, probably over the many years that you've been members here, have heard about policies, talked to a GM here and there about things that you can do and can't do, and at one point you probably had a handshake and a high five or a kiss on the cheek or whatever about what you were going to do or what a friend of yours was going to do, or hey, I just need to take 6 months off, or my wife wants to not do this, so can I get a deal and have a break on dues and things like that. And as a business, that's not an excellent way for us to operate, right? We need to have some good policies and procedures in place so that we can be fiscally responsible. And so rather than operating on a handshake, we're going to put some standard operating procedures together. And so these are some of the procedures and policies that we put together last year, which is benchmarked for many other clubs, and for the 20 years I've been in clubs, every club I've been in has had these policies. So leave of absence. A leave of absence is traditionally for a member who is suffering hardship. We are not going to ask you what your hardship is. You do not have to prove anything to us. We do not need to see your financials like you did back in 1984. You don't need to prove anything to us. If you have hurt yourself, if you are traveling, if you have a financial issue, if you're going through marital issues, whatever it is, and you need to take a break from the club for one reason or another, you have the prerogative to do that. You need to know that when you take a leave of absence, it affects the entire membership. It is not just you, it is you, your spouse, anyone that is on the membership. That is the purpose behind a leave of absence. It is meant really to help you. We want to hold your membership for you. We want you to have a space when you come back. But it is for you to take a break and step away from the club and do what you need to do. So eligibility is for all members except for non-resident, junior members, which are young people that come here only to play tennis or squash, and cricket members, which is a very small seasonal membership for cricket players that can only use the club when they're here to play cricket. So like 10 days. Frequency, you can do a leave of absence once every 5 years, and you can do it for up to 12 months. So if you come and say, I'm going to Europe, I need to take a leave of absence. I could be gone for 12 months, and so we do this for you, and you're gone for 6 months, and you come back, that counts. That counts as your 1 year. That's your time, okay? There is a 30% pay on dues and capital fees. The food and beverage minimum, though, is waived. You do have limited dining access, twice a month with members, but no athletic or locker access. Just so if you want to come and dine and enjoy some time with your friends, if you're in town, we don't want you to lose that relationship. We understand we're not kicking you out of the club, but a leave of absence is meant for you to take a leave from the club. Surviving spouse. This is a policy that is meant for folks who have lost a loved one. And this grants you 6 months without dues for you to take care of yourself and figure out what you need to do with your new life. We want you to still come to the club. You have access to the club. You will remain a member, and we will stay connected with you while you determine what you want to do. And then after 6 months, you may decide to resign, or you can downgrade to an individual membership. It's just a nice amenity that many clubs offer their members, and we don't want to lose members because they've lost a loved one. Divorce is a very sticky situation in clubs, and I know that from experience. Essentially, this policy says we don't want to know the dirt. We just want to know who is going to have the membership. You figure that out and you let us know. And then, is the secondary person going to join the club? And if they are going to join, you have to be cool with it, and you have to sign something that says, we're good, and we're not going to bring our dirt to the club, and if we do, there will be a consequence, and we promise we'll be good, and we will work that out. And if children are involved, we work it out where you're not penalized because both of you want to bring the children to the club. Resignation and reinstatement fees. This is sort of a sensitive thing, but I'm hoping that for all of you, this should be a very good thing. In years past, your policy was, hey, if you want to leave, it's cool, you can resign and then just come back whenever you want. For like 2 or 3 years, if you want to come back without paying any money, that's fine. Go ahead and take a break if you want. But you all are still here and you're paying, and what if you have to take 6 months off, or you're in Florida for 5 months or whatever? Anybody could do that and take advantage of the club. So it's not a great policy to be able to leave and come back whenever you want. So the resignation policy is a little bit tighter. This is an investment because you are all stewards and owners of this club. So if a person resigns and they decide that they want to come back, they do have to pay a reinstatement fee. And there is a complicated little reinstatement formula that works every time. And it's based on the current initiation fee, what you paid, how long you were a member, and how long you've been gone. And it's a surefire method that works. And then there's a fee that is calculated for you to rejoin. So if you paid $500 to join the club, maybe you want to rethink leaving because you may have to pay a hefty fee to rejoin, especially if you do think that you might come back. But we don't want to leave, so that's what this is for, right? We don't want you to leave, so we want you to really think about why you're leaving and if it is the best move for you. Phew, glad it's over. Okay. Let's talk just really quick, this is a very brief section about communications. I know all of you are very social media savvy, and we are a private club, and technically we are not for profit. So we don't function like a hotel or a restaurant or a catering venue or whatever. Our sole purpose is to work at the pleasure of our membership who have joined. So we have restrictions around how we can market and how we can publicize. But one really great way that we can do it is by posting all of the fun things that we do or are offering or things that are coming up on social media. So on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and on Facebook, we're posting all of the time. And all I am asking you to do, if you have a social media account, is to like us or follow us or friend us and hit like, because there's this magic little elf in there that creates an algorithm and sends it to your friends and all of the people who didn't know we existed, but now they do because you hit a special button. And we need that. We want marketing and we want this to get out there so that people will be like, oh my gosh, I want to join there. It looks so fun. So please join us. Also, if you are the person that says, I think I'm not getting emails anymore, I don't get emails anymore, something happened, I used to, and now I'm not getting any at all, please let us know after this, and we'll take care of you. We made a change last year with our exchange system, and so some of you may not be getting emails anymore, and we want to fix that. All right. The facility update is really all about Padel. So our Padel czar, Thomas Delatucci.
It is at a very exciting point, this long, what's it been, 5-year road. We are on the cusp. I just want to tee it up on what does Padel look like. This is not GCC's looking like. Are you in this video? All points. Your results may vary.
I'm obsessed with it.
Women players.
We'll talk about it. We're still playing. So Padel, and our Padel, as you may have noticed when we get here during the daylight, our Padel is progressing really well. This is us today. So it's looking fantastic. There are 3 courts, as you know. This is the court closest to the back street there. We have a net today. For this week, they laid out the turf within the courts. They've been working on laying the sand on top of it, which is part of the turf process, and gluing it down because this week was warm enough. We adhesive the stick. And 10 minutes before this meeting, I reached out to our contractor, give me an update, I'm walking in. This court is, I hate to say, playable by the weekend. I don't know, we don't have a policy in place, so we gotta figure that out. But it's that close. And then the other 2 courts, if the weather permits, we'll get the perimeter turf installed, and we're cooking, and we're going to have to start talking about policies. We've been talking about policies, obviously. Flood activities sidetracked us a little bit, but it's coming along. We had a very good meeting last week, hosted, just talking about policies with various members, a little focus group. And I think the one takeaway that we're going to have, and I noticed this in Pickle, I noticed this in other clubs, the mistake that some clubs make is inclusion, or lack thereof. Our number 1 priority is to get people playing at all different levels. Find your level, whether it's mixed, women's, men's, over 55, juniors. We're going to make sure that those opportunities are there for everyone to enjoy our new toy, to not only take it for a test drive, but to own it, to make it your new sport. And that is the number one priority. How are we going to do that with 3 courts? We're going to figure that out. But this first year, it's going to be a lot of introduction, and it's getting members together at the same level and teaching and free clinics for beginners to really get introduced to the sport. I think the next slide talks about some things. Demo rackets will be available, so you'll have sufficient, before you invest in a $100, $200, $400 paddle. You get to test it, make sure the sport's for you, and I can't believe how many people, hey, I just tried, emails and texts I get, I just tried this sport over in Bala or at another club. I can't believe how I'm hooked. And we'll see, it's got that effect. But here's your Padel staff, Anne Marie, Mark, and Chris. So you can see it's being absorbed by both tennis and squash. And we will have some seasonal staff, as we always do for tennis, to help. When? Really focus on mid-March. There's a patio project. My favorite part of this project is that big social patio where we all gather, under the Sycamore version 2.0. That is poured. We need warm weather. He's thinking 2 weeks to start that. And then we'll have that social part going on. And we'll have a true grand opening mid-April. And then how? Club Locker. Some people have asked me, will there be contracts? There will not be contracts. There are no reserved times that you're going to pass on to your great-grandchildren. The first several months are going to be focused on introducing the game to the membership. So and demo racks I mentioned, and we're going to have plenty of programming and opportunities. And it's really about making it fun for our members, for all of us to enjoy what we paid for and to get the most out of it. And that's the Padel update. And now, Q&A. All right, so we've got Lily.
Yeah, I noticed that it hard to pay half of the first half of their life as a member now has to have an initiation fee with a 20% discount. So I'm a little bit unhappy about that concept. And then also, if someone gets married and adds a spouse, does that spouse have to pay a membership fee?
Well, just like any individual member that joins the club, if you get married and add a person to your membership, you're individual, and then you're a family member, you would upgrade to a family membership.
But there's an initiation fee on top of that membership.
There is a percentage that you would pay.
Is that a new policy or is that always been?
That is a new policy that is a benchmarked policy that many clubs do.
That's all. Thank you.
Ms. Lefkow?
I was under the impression that the Padel court was initially supposed to be in the parking lot next to the indoor courts. I'm just curious about how the decision was made to move it to the grass court and how many grass courts are taken out of use.
So the back end of your question was one grass court. It was the one that was just one because we removed 3 dead trees over there, and we all have the opportunity to walk that a little bit. Remember, it was called Lover's Walk. There was a stone walk up there that would lead all the way back to the clay courts and that other fantastic unused stone stairs in the back. So we took that out, and that's going to get rebuilt, but we lost about 50 feet of it. And like I said, and the playground down here. So it was one court, or the 8-court court. We don't plug one, I said the 8-court court. And so we lost one. Now, if we're going to talk about that.
Why did we decide not to build it next to the indoor courts?
Because, so there were many issues. And those courts moved 3 times before finding their place. Originally it was a parking lot, and that didn't work because we need the parking. More parking today. Then it was next to the indoor courts, and that became an issue of historic trees. And in preserving those trees and the space we needed, we had to bring for all the clearances and as required. You had to move the brick walk with these stones that leads out to the departure courts, you know what I'm talking about, right by the sign that says Germantown. That sign had to go, and that whole walkway had to go to clear trees, and it was a mess. And then it moved next to the pool. And that didn't work, A, because of drainage, B, because of potential pool expansion, C, it's a priority for children and families and places for them to play. And it was shoehorned in. The clearances around it, we wanted 3 courts, and then it was the plan. And they come out, the engineer comes out to mark it with flags, and it's right up against those stairs that are now going to be a major thoroughfare as traffic moves from those back stairs and away from off the patio while you're eating your lunch. The other players will be coming through. We'll deal with that. A lot of minutiae to handle, but that's the path that the Delta took.
So will the playground end up down in that lower area?
Yes. And we've got some great
Tell
plans for
us
that as
more
well.
about the playground, please.
Sure.
Actually, the playground is a very important aspect to me because I'm very aware of the children here and I want to make sure that they're happy and have a fun place to play. So I'm looking at playground sets that are a little bit bigger and can also double as a TRX type of unit so that whenever kids are in school, adults can come in the morning and you can use that space to do some boot camp and you can connect to it and do pull-ups and things like that. So I'm looking at a jungle gym type of space. It will be much bigger. It will not be a backyard, wood, scary situation. It won't be a residential build. It will definitely be a nice commercial setup that we have. And we'll do some swings and some things like that also.
When does that start?
Well, we'll put it in probably the late spring. The pergola is down there right now, and we still have a slab of concrete down there, so we have to move the pergola up on the patio, but we can't do that until the patio is built, so it's a process. But it'll be there before summer.
Adam.
Hey, Tom. So now that we're done, it's very exciting, it's open up. This was a substantial project, so will there be delivery of some detailed information on how much we spent on all the various aspects of the Fidel program? The core, the addition, any other infrastructure that needed to go as a result of it? I think it would be helpful for us just to know how much we spent for it. Would that be forthcoming?
It's on par with it. Actually, we did it less. We thought we'd have, I guess, we got to deliver these developers first, but GCC has become, even though we're not done, sort of like a consultant, so to speak, on developers. We had a club out here today to talk to us about the process and how we got it done, and what insight we can provide to them. And the infrastructure that you're talking about, that porous concrete, which I alluded to back in November. If you're a concrete nerd, want to see the coolest video of how quickly a 5-gallon bucket of water goes down on that court. It's pretty cool stuff. But they want to know about that. And now the contractor we hired, it's got 2 other Fidel jobs from that. And it's going to be something to see. Sure. Michael.
Is there any possibility of ever seeing financial statements for this organization and being disseminated to the membership? Can you repeat the questions?
Can you speak up, please?
He's asking about financial statements. There is a financial statement that is presented. I know we had a long conversation about all of that, and yeah, it's not a problem.
That's fine.
Nope.
I talked to people who had played Fidel before the one that was in from Venice High washed away with the hurricane. And I was not aware of any place that had built it on permeable blacktop or concrete, which we thought was a good idea. And so this now, when it rains on there, it'll go right through.
Right to a retention basin that is built.
It'll be well ready, it will be ready before grass boards are ready.
I didn't hear the last part, so.
I said it'll be ready to play before grass courts are ready to play.
Oh, absolutely. Grass courts are mid-May, these are mid-March.
What means after the rain?
Oh, after the rain, oh, I'm sorry, absolutely, absolutely, they were drained. The video's pretty cool, we should probably include it in the presentation, the water goes straight through. The turf, the actual turf, the 70s term, synthetic turf, is less, is more of an issue than the concrete beneath it, usually it's the opposite. Sure, go ahead.
Matt McClure, I live in a non-built. And by the way, Million, we're so thrilled you're here. The clubhouse is great, obviously the damage to the flood, but everything is running well. I have a question about the clubhouse, especially the repairs when it comes to security. For those of us who come in the building early in the morning or late at night, whether it's the gym or going to practice course in the morning, and obviously for those of us who want to raise a foot up, we know that open doors is not always the best things. When we're going to be upgrading security, is there any way we can do something to make sure there's a key lock or something when the doors go in the morning? Make sure that when entering the building, say at 6 o'clock in the morning, when the girls there are
So he's asking if there's any way that we can update the security at the buildings, especially because of early morning and late night people. And I would love to be able to do that. There is a lot that goes into that because we have multiple buildings on this footprint that need to be covered. And in order for us to do that, we have to secure all of the buildings, and then we have to give all of you access to that in some way. So either it's a key fob or a card or a scan code or something like that to get in. And it's a costly venture, so we can certainly look at it for sure. What I can tell you is what we have now. This is what we have now. We have cameras everywhere, which doesn't stop anything, but at least it helps us be aware. And since I've been here, we've been able to at least catch some things as they're happening, which is like 20%, great. We have security officers here. We currently have 2 officers that work for us full-time. And they typically are here on property around 5 or 6, and they stay until about 12:30 or 1 a.m. And they secure the perimeter. And then at around 6 a.m., our grounds crew and housekeeping staff come. So there is a gap there where people are not on property. We do live in an area where anybody can wander in, and it sometimes can be unsafe in this area. We've talked a little bit about a gate closure, which I think would be helpful, but we have a deferred maintenance issue on the brick and mortar walls that are on the exterior entry of the club. So with some of these issues come but also situations. So security is on my mind and it's on our list. I need to find a really good way that's reasonable and won't cost us $300,000 to do it. So I want to find a way to do it. I'm just not having a lot of success.
Greatly appreciate the answer. If you want support for the issue, I'm happy to be a supporter of the issue. I think the same. If there's ever an incident going on, nothing would be more damaging to the financial well-being of this club than an incident on campus. I do think it is very important. As they're rising, instances are rising, and those of us who are here early in the morning see.
I agree. It's just, it's hard to have nonstop security. I mean, just like if you go to a mall, you risk, you have that risk of getting out of your car and somebody getting you. If you come out of a movie theater, it's that same situation. We try really, really hard. We know that this is not always a safe neighborhood, and we're trying our best to cover it, but we are bound by budgets, we're bound by, facility issues, and I will do everything we can to do it. And if you have any good creative ideas or fundraising ideas that we can do, I'm absolutely for it. Keep in mind, please, we have a lot of females on the staff. Most of our leadership are women. We close the club, and I promise you, I am here until about 11:30 every night. 9 times out of 10, I'm here every night, and I walk out. So it's scary. Like I walk out with my keys and my knuckles, because bring it. But That's my security system. I had the gentleman in the back.
I might have missed this, but question one is the patio expansion. Where will it be exactly? And then two, will there be some kind of padel opening course with like similar to what we did with pickleball on Friday nights?
Probably April at some point.
But it'll be like it won't be just reservations. It'll be kind of show up and play and learn how to play.
Yeah, and so we're going to pump the heck out of Padel, and it's an asset to our club.
And as far as the expansion of the patio,
As far as the expansion of the patio, the asphalt driveway that ran in front of the patio, in front of the current patio where you have lunch, it used to go all the way down to the playground. Well, at the end of this building, through to the playground area is where that patio is. Is this mic working?
It is.
Where she got scared? I got it.
Talk about the lights on the court, the lights on the Padel court.
Okay, so the courts are lit. So
What hours and how they go on?
They're automated lights, and we can set timers on them for when they come on and when they turn off. So we can do that according to the seasonality. What was the
I guess
other
what I'm asking is there a time limit on when you can play? For example, in the summertime, evening play would be very nice because it's cooler.
I'm sure there's some city regulation about disturbance, neighbor disturbance. So
Could you check on that?
we're going to have to surf that.
Like 9 o'clock at night in July would be very nice.
Sure. Actually, I'll give this gentleman a step up the mic.
No,
It's on.
just talk loud.
Here, take mine.
It's on. It's just.
Hello? All right, I'm going to sing a little bit now. First of all, hello in person, I'm Ben Zuckerman.
Oh.
And the subject that I want to discuss is the leave of absence policy. About 6 years ago or so, I had some major surgery on my hip. I couldn't play tennis. I was granted a leave of absence for about 8 or 9 months. My wife continued to be a member and play. Everything was fine. Came back. I paid what I had to pay longer for one. In September this year, out of the blue, I sustained a serious back problem where I could hardly walk, let alone play tennis. And I went through every kind of medical care, short of surgery you could, nothing helped. So by December, I was pretty much convinced I'm not going to play tennis ever again, and I should at least take a leave of absence. So I applied. And I was advised for the first time that there's a new leave of absence policy, which says if I need to take a leave, not only could I not step foot on the club during my leave of absence, my wife, also, who's an active tennis player, has been a member for 27 years, could not come to the club. We could not have a meal here, we could not be a guest, we could do nothing at Germantown, despite the 27 years we've been here. People who were never members could come here and eat every meal they wanted as guests and members. This was not just, an arbitrary thing, it was a medical thing which could have been justified. For some reason, miraculously, about a month ago, my back stopped hurting. And I don't know why, and the doctors don't know why. I've been able to play tennis 4 times since then. But I was within 3 days of resigning from the club because I had no choice. And I had a lot of emails back and forth with Tom, who was very, very helpful and paid a lot of attention to it. But it occurred to me, if you have a legitimate medical reason, which you could justify with medical reports. I know they could be faked, but probably people here wouldn't do that. If you have a legitimate medical reason, and you need to take a leave, why should your family suffer? Why should you be prohibited from stepping foot on the club while I saw tonight you could come for 2 meals a month? A non-member could come every meal as a guest. I don't see the logic in penalizing people who are long-term members who have a legitimate medical reason why they must take a leave, rather than forcing them to resign so that their spouses and family could remain in the club in a different membership level. So maybe you could explain that.
So we did, I recall all of this, and I appreciate it. We did send you the proper info. While I know that you were suffering, your wife was enjoying indoor tennis and enjoying time with her friends. We have many members here who maybe the husband plays a great deal of indoor tennis and the wife is home with the newborn baby and does not use this club at all. They joined as a family so that maybe she could come to a yoga class every now and then or come to the pool during the summer, but he consistently plays tennis. Or she wants to play pickleball often, but he has no interest in it because he's a golfer. There are many, many family memberships here that have varying situations where one may not use it and one does use it. And while yours is a particular circumstance, it's very difficult for us to build a scenario and a category for every single situation. And I know it's not easy and it doesn't feel good, but we have to do what is right for the greater good of all of the membership. Somebody may play tennis and their wife is bedridden or enjoys book club or just never comes here, but they paid dues for 27 years. And they've done that. And that is the sacrifice of being a member here. It's the support of being a steward of the club. It is you making an investment in this club when we have tons of deferred maintenance here, and we have to pay people like Mona and Lori and people who work here to keep the lights on and do things. And there's also a precedence that we have to set, because if we do a handshake for one, then we have to do it for another, and this lady, and this guy, and it does turn into but one, but this, but that. And right now, unfortunately, what we are seeing is that we are fighting a lot of these old situations because, you know, for some reason or another, deals were made, or I did this 12 years ago, or I did this 10 years ago. I know that, you know, Dr. Kahn was upset because somebody joined here 30 years ago. They paid $500 to be a member here. Okay? They paid dues when they were here. The dues kept the lights on and paid Mona. They left 8 years ago. Now they want to come back and rejoin, and they're appalled that we will charge them because the Joneses just joined and they paid $8,000. And why did Betty have to pay, even though the Joneses just paid a good deal to join? So we're trying to make it fair and equitable across the board and make sure that this business is run legitimately and fiscally responsible. And I know that we're not trying to take it out on you or make it unfair, but if your wife is continuing to use the club and she's dining and she's playing tennis, then your family membership is being utilized. If she were not, then we would have other opportunities where you could downgrade to Mannheim or to the family pool membership, and the dues would be lower, and we would make that concession and make sure that you were still using the club and enjoying it. But the only other opportunity would be that if you can't play tennis, you never come to the club, then it would make sense for her to be an individual member. So there are options, it's just that you being on a leave and us cutting you a deal so your wife can play tennis and you not is not one of the options.
You know, a lot of that is frankly irrelevant. Some of these weird scenarios you're talking about are not the ones where somebody who's a long-time member here has a legitimate medical or other reason why they cannot enjoy the club. So if they don't want to leave, they might hopefully come back. They might take leave. They have family members who are willing to pay whatever the dues are, but to penalize the entire family because one member is legitimately unable to use the club and enjoy it. Makes no sense.
But you just said you're willing to pay whatever the dues are to enjoy the club.
You said
Your wife is using the club.
if I can't be here, my wife would be, I have to, what Tom told me, I have to quit the club. She would have to be an individual member, and if I wanted to come back, there was a reduced fee I would pay to come back. But the point is, if somebody like me or anybody else has a legitimate reason, not just because they don't feel like they don't want to come here, legitimate medical or physical reason, why penalize the entire family? You can make arrangements for the membership that is being active. The non-member, the person on leave is still paying 30% of the dues and not using the club at all. It's painting a broad brush that is not applicable to many members' possible situations.
I don't know how to respond to that. I'm sorry you feel that way. Your family is using the club, and it's a family membership.
You know, I'll gladly sit down with you after, for the sake of keeping the meeting. But let's do that. Ken?
Yeah, is there, so I understand this, if somebody has a family membership and they go at the appropriate time to an individual membership, and then at some time in the future they go back to a family membership, is there a charge going from individual to family?
Yes,
It's not the full charge, there's a formula.
right.
Based on how many years, does that whole thing, we give you worksheets like this, figure out where they stand, but it's years.
If you belong to Lifetime Fitness, if you joined Lifetime Fitness in 1988, you and your family, okay? And you guys were there and you paid $150, and that was an amazing rate. And then you got older and your kids moved away, and then you never worked out, and so you left the membership and your wife stayed at Lifetime membership, and she paid $100. And then in 2024, you decided you wanted to go back because they built pickleball courts and you wanted to join the membership again. And now it's $225 to join them. You wouldn't argue with Lifetime membership because their dues went up because you were a family back in 1988. Then you went to an individual membership, and now you're rejoining in this year, in this economy, and you're using it as a family membership. It is the exact same concept. We're running it as a membership business, and the dues are covering a family, and it is what it is. If you wanted to do, listen, at Country Club of Virginia, they charge a dues rate for every single human that is at the club. And if you guys want us to do that, we can evaluate that. Your 6-month-old has a dues rate, your 8-year-old has a dues rate, Faith has a dues rate, Rita has a dues rate, Debbie has a dues rate. Every single person in your family has a dues rate, and every year it goes up. And if Rita decides that she doesn't want to be a member anymore, then we take her off that membership. If you guys want to do that, we can evaluate that. But right now, this club runs on individual or family. And that's a pretty good option, because not all clubs have an individual individual membership either. A lot of them are just family or nothing. So we're trying to make it work.
Like, I want people, we want people to say, I want to give you more money, I want to go family.
Right.
Or you may be discouraging them because you're saying, well, the only way I'm going to accept that is if you pay an additional $5,000.
But it's not typically that. It's typically just a portion, and it really is because we don't want people to take advantage of the system. And that's what a lot of these policies are for. Because what will happen is that I'm a family, but I only play tennis and I go to Florida. So I'm going to downgrade to an individual for right now, so just I pay these rates. But then in full season, we're going to come back and I'm going to upgrade back up to family.
That's not true, because.
Well, it is, that's why we do this policy.
We're talking about the downgrade you can only do once a year. You can only do it in
Now you can.
March. Right. And so you don't really run the risk of people, it's one thing to say we can't allow people to go back and forth and sort of game the system. On the other hand, if you have a situation where somebody thinks in March that they're only going to use an individual membership, and then and so they downgrade, and then even in June, they decide, oh, we should have a family membership, then they're not really gaming the system because you're getting more money at that point. And what you're doing is you're discouraging them.
The last thing I want to say about this subject, we're having some is Millie or the staff do not just cook this up. What we've done is we've adapted the policies that are done by very successful clubs, and then we form a membership committee who massage them to fit the needs and desires of our club. The membership committee is a cross-section of our club. It was then presented to the board. I don't know if we massaged many of those policies much at all, and they were approved. But what we're doing is we're following a winning template. And there's a lot of policies that were here for a lot of years that weren't winning formulas. And that's our objective. Now should we go to the back row?
Next to Amy.
Yes.
I think it's great that you guys are creating policies. I think applying consistent policies across the board is a fantastic thing. I think most of the membership agrees. I have a question about reciprocity. Do we still have reciprocity with VALA?
We do.
I found them to be less than cooperative and send tea times. While I see a lot of membership using our pool all the time. So if you guys can look into what our reciprocity relationship is with VALA, because they really, when I tried to get even a tea time in the off season, they really were not responsive and wouldn't even give me the day that I could get a tea time.
Yeah.
And I see
All right, we're right to the source.
all the membership.
We're right to the source. GCC.
Maybe it doesn't seem like an equal give and take.
Right.
So.
Hey, I'm really sorry. I'm on the board of VALA, and I can tell you, my name's Ed Griffin.
I'll drop your name next time. Tea time in the off season, in the middle of the day.
If you drop my name, you'll get any tea time you want. No, seriously, we have a reciprocal relationship with Kidwood Club and with Germantown Club. Kidwood Club uses VALA on a regular basis. We have maybe 20 people a week. We have maybe 3 or 4 people a week from Germantown. I think last year we had about 68 actual rounds played by Germantown members. We had something like 400 rounds played by, out of 25,000, we had 400 rounds played by Kidwood Club members. And they're there on a regular basis. I know the squash guys here, there's a whole group of them. And then there's, on the tennis side, there's Mark Perry and Lance, and those guys use it on a regular basis. The pros over there know them by name, and they just kind of block out times. And I'm really sorry if you had a bad experience. What's your name?
Natalie Zamora.
Natalie, I'm really sorry if you had a bad experience, but if you make a tea time again, please just say that you're a member of Germantown Cricket Club and you're a friend of Ed.
Amy.
What's happening with the tennis? We've lost 2 tennis pros in the last year. Is there any, where does that leave the tennis program?
Well, we are actually working on restructuring the tennis pros. Anne Marie is kind of taking the lead right now, but we're in the final phases of interviewing and making sure that the right people are in the right seats. We are vetting a couple that I don't want to say. We can't really discuss it right now, but we're vetting a couple of people. And then we'll have some seasonal staff as well. So, and then Mark Piebernat, who was here years ago and came back this past season as an independent contractor, is actually going to be on staff this year. So he's filling one of those needs, and then we're going to kind of realign. I think that you'll see, I'll be a little more hands-on in some of the programming, and ensuring things are smooth and feel a little bit better and are a little more organized and a little more social interaction and some things like that. So, more to come. Gail?
There's a question right there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What is going on with the Hartford courts? I know the condition of them has been so-so. They've been either very damp, very fully dry.
Yep.
And so I know there are some complex issues probably, but I don't know if there's any way to see.
Quick fire version is this. We talked to the manufacturers of the Hartford, and we have found an interesting complex situation of growth, as a kind of a sheet layer of growth on those courts. So this season, this spring, we are going to scour those courts because what they're doing is blocking the water from coming up. And Philly Cricket and Marion actually, I don't know about Marion, Philly Cricket was also having this problem. So they came out and checked out their courts and our courts. I think it was Philly Cricket or Philly Country. So many courts, so little time. But we are working on that. So the Hartshards are going to get scraped and scoured, and they're going to be reconditioned. The clay is going to get a real nice facelift, and the grass courts, again, are not going to be, they're not perfected this season. Please, don't slash my tires, okay? We're doing the best that we can on the grass. We did a really good job of words are hard right now. Punching, yes, aerating, and then we ground up all of that soil, and we used that to smooth out the area, smooth out all of that sand debris that was actually on top of that, and we seeded very quickly, and we're seeing some pretty good growing right now. So Tim and his guys, now that the snow is clear, we've got a pretty good idea that the grass is going to look good. But in this next fall season, we are still planning to laser grade, re-till, and redo all of the grass courts.
What months of the year will the Fidel courts be used?
Well, they'll be open all 12 months.
Okay, that's all I was asking.
And days and nights, so there's going to be a lot of opportunity, but it's weather permitting.
Since the Fidel courts have lights, what are the chances like the pickleball courts can get lights? And at the one time, is there any way we can start putting Gatorades in those drink fridges? Like, I don't want to drink a soda after like I'm done working out or I'm playing tennis.
Pickleball lights are this guy. We were testing some
Yeah, I saw those. They weren't very good. The ones they had like.
It's a capital expenditure, and the strategic planning committee and the board, we have a wish list, and there's a lot of aspirational stuff. The pie can only be cut so thin. It's on the list, but I will tell you it's not in the upper half.
I'm sorry to say that Gatorade is not actually classified in our non-alcoholic beverage.
Oh, I know. What do we have to do to get that classified?
Fairly expensive, so unless we increase that rate, I don't foresee us putting them in here.
There's gotta be a way.
I mean, there's always a way. There's always a way.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, quick membership question. Are there any kind of targets on new members annually and anything that is, I guess, budget contingent upon membership growth?
Good question. The goal for us always, well, not always, I'm living here a smidge, but typically we're aiming for around 50 new members, knowing that attrition we're going to lose around 40. So this year we tried to budget modestly at a break even. This year we'll see how it goes. This being our first full year in a new budget, Joe and I wanted to be pretty reasonable about it. So we budgeted, I think this coming year we budgeted 50 incoming. We'd love to see more than that. And then what was the second question? Contingency? If we don't hit it?
Any kind of budget contingency based on kind of hitting those growth numbers? Meaning, like, are we assuming that we're going to get that growth and have it on, right?
We are assuming we're gonna have that money. We're very hopeful to have that money. You know, the budget here is interesting because it's evergreen a little bit. So the way that our buckets work, our financial budget buckets are twofold. Your dues are operations, and that's lights and payroll and hamburger buns and things like that. Your dues are capital, which is good. Dues and then your capital dues, I'm sorry, did I say dues? Initiation and capital dues go into capital projects. So the way we would love to do it in the future is that new initiation fees would go to aspirational capital goals, and your monthly capital dues would go to deferred maintenance. That's kind of the structure that is sound in clubs and the way it should be. So if we don't always hit those numbers in initiation, which we hope we always do, but if we don't, we adjust a little bit on our capital. I hope that answered your question.
Do we have a cap, like 850? Do we have a cap?
Barry can't get a full percentage.
Cap is stated at 850.